2025 has been a year of profound changes on the world stage. Traditional powers recalibrated strategies, new players stepped forward, and global security faced challenges unseen in decades. Across continents, alliances, conflicts, and diplomatic maneuvers reshaped the way nations interact. Here are the highlights of global politics and geopolitics in 2025. Key power shifts and alliances. Across the globe, countries reassessed their influence in a rapidly changing landscape. NATO, for instance, took a historic step at its 2025 summit in The Hague, pledging to raise defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2035. This included funds for core defense, infrastructure, cybersecurity, and resilience programs, signaling a stronger, more prepared alliance in the face of emerging threats. Meanwhile, emerging economies across Africa, Asia, and Latin America demonstrated a growing capacity to influence global decisions. Nations such as India, Brazil, South Africa, and Indonesia are no longer passive participants. They are shaping trade, technology, and diplomatic agendas. In 2025, power was no longer measured solely by territory or military might. Influence stretched across digital networks, economic leverage, resource control, and public opinion, creating a truly multipolar world. Major summits and diplomatic events. 1. NATO Summit, The Hague. The NATO summit in June reaffirmed collective defense under Article 5, while emphasizing deterrence against potential aggressors. Discussions also focused on cybersecurity, advanced defense technologies, and infrastructure investments, reflecting the alliance's long-term commitment to Euro-Atlantic security. 2. G20 Summit, Johannesburg. In November, the G20 convened in Johannesburg, the first time on African soil. Under the theme, Solidarity, Equality, Sustainability, leaders from the world's largest economies discussed debt relief, climate finance, energy transition, and fair trade. South Africa's presidency ensured that Global South priorities were front and center, advocating for development, inclusive growth, and more equitable access to resources like critical minerals. 3. SCO Summit, Tianjin. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, held its 2025 summit in Tianjin, China. Leaders from Eurasia and Asia gathered to discuss regional security, trade, energy, and technology cooperation. The SCO continues to grow as a counterbalance to Western-led institutions, promoting multipolarity and collaboration among non-Western nations. 4. AU-EU Summit, Luanda. The African Union and European Union convened in Luanda to strengthen development and security partnerships. This summit highlighted Africa's growing role in global governance, emphasizing infrastructure, peacekeeping, and sustainable economic initiatives, emerging regions, and global South influence. One of the defining features of 2025 has been the rise of the Global South. Countries in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia are no longer peripheral players. They are shaping global agendas. Initiatives like debt relief, climate resilience, and sustainable energy development reflect a new focus on fairness and equity. For example, the Johannesburg G20 summit encouraged African nations to move beyond raw resource exports, instead developing industries that add value locally. Similarly, Southeast Asian countries have pushed for regional trade agreements that bolster economic sovereignty and resilience. This growing influence signifies a fundamental shift. The world is no longer dominated by a handful of Western powers. Instead, a multipolar order is emerging, where diverse voices help shape global policy and security. Conflicts, tensions, and security concerns. 1. Europe and NATO. NATO's increased defense spending reflects concerns over Russia and the ongoing war in Ukraine. European nations are now expected to contribute more to regional security, signaling a shift toward greater self-reliance within the alliance. 2. Asia-Pacific tensions. In the Asia-Pacific region, China, India, and regional neighbors navigated territorial disputes and trade competition. Tensions in the South China Sea and border disputes between India and China continued to test regional diplomacy. 3. Middle East and Africa. The Middle East faced continued instability, with fragile governments and proxy conflicts influencing global energy markets. Africa saw a mix of conflict and cooperation. While some regions struggled with security issues, others advanced regional integration and strengthened trade partnerships. 4. Cyber and hybrid threats. In addition to conventional conflicts, cyber attacks, information warfare, and technological sabotage emerged as significant threats to both governments and private sectors, highlighting the evolving nature of security in the 21st century. Diplomatic maneuvers and strategic realignments. Leaders use summits and bilateral meetings to negotiate influence, economic partnerships, and security agreements. The NATO summit solidified commitments to deterrence and modernized defense systems. SCO members expanded regional cooperation agreements, creating alternative structures to Western-led economic institutions. G20 and AU-EU discussions emphasized multilateral approaches to debt relief, climate adaptation, and equitable trade, signaling the Global South's rising voice. These actions reflect a dual reality. While global security concerns remain high, nations are increasingly seeking new alliances and partnerships beyond traditional power centers. Multipolarity and global governance. The trends of 2025 point to an increasingly multipolar world. Power is no longer concentrated in a few capitals. It is dispersed across emerging economies, regional coalitions, and non-Western institutions. Global governance is evolving to address not only security and military power, but also economic stability, climate resilience, and social equity. Nations that can navigate these complex challenges, balancing traditional diplomacy, regional influence, and innovative cooperation, will shape the future of international relations. Meanwhile, nations that fail to adapt may find themselves marginalized as the world's center of gravity shifts toward more diverse, interconnected power structures.